Welcome to the Cyclical Doula podcast. I'm Emma, a certified fertility awareness educator, miscarriage doula, and the founder of MMA LLC. This space is for women who want to understand their bodies deeply, not just memorize information, but actually feel confident in interpreting their cycles. Here, we talk about ovulation, hormones, cervical mucus, basal body temperature, and all that messy in between emotional layers that come with being a woman. We talk about trying to conceive, avoiding pregnancy without hormones, postpartum transitions, pregnancy loss, perimenopause, and everything in between. Because body literacy isn't just about charting. It's about the autonomy. It's about informed consent. It's about not outsourcing your reproductive decisions to guesswork or fear. Each week, you'll hear conversations with women's health professionals, birth workers, educators, and researchers, along with solo episodes where I teach practical skills you can apply to your own cycle right away. If you have ever felt like you should have learned this information sooner, if you have ever felt disconnected from your cycle, if you want to raise the next generation without shame around their bodies, you are in the right place. So grab your tea, open up your notes app, and let's build cycle confidence together.
Welcome to the space where cycles breathe, where the real raw life of Emma leads.
Today, I'm sitting down with Anu Verma, an author, podcaster, trauma practitioner, and the founder of Victim to Victor. She brings a rare blend of evidence-based training and holistic practices, drawing from psychology, embodiment work, and her own lived experiences. In our conversation, she shares what it looks like to conceive naturally at 37 and again at 42, even when medical expectations were stacked against her. But she goes far beyond fertility into trauma, nervous system regulation, and how disconnection from our bodies can quietly shape so many parts of our health. What I love about her story is that nothing is offered from a place of fear or pressure. It's grounded, hopeful, and rooted in the belief that our bodies are far more intelligent, resilient, and capable than we're often taught to trust. Let's get into it. I am so excited today to have this conversation. Would you like to describe who you are outside of your work and your titles?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. So, I'm someone who is very curious about people, about healing, trauma in particular, and just about, what the consequences of trauma and what it does to ourselves and our body. And so, as a consequence of my curiosity, I actually went on to get qualified in actually healing trauma. And also, I wrote a book about my own journey, and I also podcast about this as well, about trauma healing. And so I'm just so passionate about what it is that makes us humans feel truly alive, truly fulfilled, truly passionate, because so many of us are walking around numb and just in our comfort zones and not understanding that there can be more to life. But in order to get to that, we have to heal oneself. We have to go within and we have to do the work. And so many of us are scared of that because they're scared of what may arise if they do the work. What is hidden within us. And that's why my work really delves deep into that curiosity and deep into just what makes us human. So I am a mom of two, and I'm also very empathetic. I am a lifelong learner, consistently learning, and I'm also someone who just now I actually find joy in the simpler things, which I never used to do because of my trauma. So I love being out in nature. Obviously, it's cold now, and I feel like it's a great time to be out because when we are cold, we are actually stepping out of our comfort zones, and just being out of our comfort zones is linked to resilience building. So I never used to be into the cold. I used to just be very much wanting the warmth. So because I've healed and because I now know what stepping out of our comfort zone does, I now enjoy the winter.
That's great.
So yeah, I guess that's a bit about me.
I love that. What is one of your like rhythms or rituals that you are loving in this season?
Wow. I have a cold plunge in my garden. And yeah. And the thing is, the cold plunge, it actually goes back in the shed over the summer because I just feel like, there's no point doing it in the summer. For me, the point is when it's actually, 0 degrees outside and you're then getting into that cold plunge. That shocks the body. But it's also the best thing for mental health and for even it fights off depression and anxiety. We don't even realize, what the cold can do to us. And this all started from my Wim Hof retreat, which I did earlier last year. And I never realized that I was even capable of withstanding the cold to that extent. But it's all in the breath, which is why I'm really into breath work and grounding exercises and just really understanding what a regulated nervous system is. So I've done a lot of work on that.
That's awesome. I love that. So you shared with me beforehand that you have a unique fertility experience, that you had your kids later in life. Would you like to share about that some?
Yeah, sure. So it never happened, because of the fact that I had any issues with conceiving before the age of 38 when I first did conceive. It was the fact that I was in some real bad relationships and I just didn't fancy having a baby with these people. So so what happened was that I was getting into my late 30s and I was then obviously the anxiety kicks in thinking, oh my God, will I ever be able to have a baby? And I haven't actually found a partner either. And so I did see my doctor a few times and they did say, your chances are going to be very limited and that, it's best to maybe try the IVF procedure when the time comes. And so I just had this mindset around, oh, okay, I'm never going to be able to have babies. And so I did actually end up finding someone. And it's interesting because I was never broody. Like I never even, I don't know. I just never had this inkling to have children because I was just so busy with my life and trying to heal at that time. And prior to that, I was just out exploring life and building my career and just traveling loads. And so anyway, what happened was I actually went on a detox retreat when I was about 37. And it was actually Tony Robbins' detox retreat, and it was like a vegan one, raw food, veg. And I was for about 2 weeks. So I was there just cleansing my system. And so I got back home, and with my partner, and obviously we caught up, and yeah. And then it turns out that that catch up led to a pregnancy, like instant pregnancy. I was absolutely shocked. I was also quite emotional because obviously, it was a bit of a shock thinking, how did this happen? Because, we were careful as well. But I just think because my body was so cleansed that just a little bit of sperm obviously entered and it instantly fertilized me. I mean, I got fertilized. And I mean, the doctors were quite shocked. And I really do believe that it was the fact that I was on this total body cleanse and that my body was just so susceptible to it. So that happened. And then I also got pregnant again at 42. Again, the doctors were just like saying that, oh, you got no chance now. You're a geriatric, and you're going to be, you'll probably get, they were actually saying, you'll probably get type 2 diabetes as well because of my ethnicity as well. And it was funny because when I actually went for my glucose intolerance test, I actually had the glucose that they give to you to drink, and they were just shocked because my body literally just metabolized it, and it was like there was no glucose in my system. The doctor was just like, we're actually quite shocked because you should be getting diabetes. And I was thinking, isn't it a good thing? Shouldn't we be celebrating my health?
Yep.
But it's interesting because, and I even explained to the doctor, I said, well, I've been on Ayurvedic herbs, mainly for my hair and, just to balance out my hormones. I was on Shatavari, it was, and ashwagandha. And I told my doctor this, and she just said, well, no, we don't really talk about Ayurveda because they haven't been scientifically proven. And if you go on the internet, it's all, bad stuff on it about the mercury poisoning and all that stuff that goes on with, whatever propaganda they're trying to spread at the time. But I really do believe that because I was on these herbs, I got pregnant instantly again. So, yeah. Yes. So I think moral of the story is that if we look after our health and if we balance out our hormones, regulate our nervous system, regulate our, just the whole internal homeostatic system, then I feel like we can get pregnant.
Yeah.
At any age, probably. Well, up until probably menopause, yeah.
Right. Absolutely. There is a time. Yeah, absolutely. So do you feel like the work that you're doing with people understanding trauma and chronic stress can really impact and connect with their fertility and cycles and all of those things?
Wow, 100%. Yeah. So what I've learned is that fertility is not just physical, it's deeply emotional and very nervous system led. So if we're under a state of stress where your cortisol levels are rocket high, and there's a lot of internal stress, especially as moms. There's a lot of internal stress that we don't even acknowledge, but it's cognitive stress because it's all the thought processes that go into the management of the day-to-day basis of our children. It's managing their diaries and managing their welfare, making sure that they get to school on time, making sure that they get fed, making sure there's enough food in the kitchen. That's all that. It's a lot for anyone to to actually mentally process. So yeah, and that's what I found is that stress is the number one. We know it's the number one killer anyway. And trauma as well, unhealed trauma. So if we had childhood abuse or if we have any kind of complex trauma or complex PTSD from bad relationships that we may have had, then we all know that war veterans are very prone to PTSD anyway, but PTSD is also unfortunately it can be caused by relational issues as well. And that's obviously a lot of the work that's happening now. We only need to go online to understand that now, which is great. And so my journey kind of showed me that stress, trauma, and just a disconnection from the body can actually silently impact our fertility cycle. And it also showed me the intelligence and the resilience of the body, when we actually are able to support it gently. So, which is why grounding work and breath work are huge when it comes to nervous system regulation. And I really advise everyone in the world actually has a practice to make sure that they can calm their nervous system on a daily basis.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so important. Do you have a good way for everybody to do that, or is it so specific on the person?
Yeah, I think definitely anyone who's undergone any sort of traumatic experiences definitely should. I feel like it should be part of their day-to-day a ritual that they have. For me, exercise has been very beneficial as well, because with exercise, you move in the body and it's also increasing the endorphins and the feel-good hormones, which is what we need. We all need to feel good, especially as moms. I know it's hard as moms trying to juggle and trying to fit exercise in, but even a brisk walk, it's just so, oh my God, the benefit that you get and the instant release of feel-good hormones that you get from having a walk. And that's easy. And we can take our kids with us as well. You know, if they're still in a buggy, that's fantastic. Just push the buggy. Mine are like 3 and 7, so they'll both be walking. So yeah,
it can be slower. Less brisk. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I think we're recording this right around the new year. So a lot of people have a lot of holiday and stress. And I was just thinking with some other people, some clients and stuff, that how much our bodies undergo stress during this time that we don't even realize. Like we know that there's a lot of stuff going on, preparation for holidays, preparation for the new year, but how much that can impact how our cycle looks like and all of that can really affect it. And I can only imagine when people don't realize how much stress their body's actually under because it's been through so much and in a stressful state for so long, how much it's really affecting their bodies.
Exactly. Honestly, it is a silent killer. And I remember seeing stuff about this years ago, and you don't actually understand it until you see people suffering around you, and until a lot of the time, unfortunately, it's too late, because by that time they've got cancer, or they have some chronic illness, and a lot of that is stress led, and because stress causes all sorts of inflammatory responses. It increases inflammation, which increases your acidity levels in the body, and that's all linked to obviously chronic illnesses. And so we can do so much to regulate our systems. Obviously, I've spoken about the holistic stuff that we can do, healing the whole body, the nervous system. I actually trained as an embodiment coach as well, because there's just so many movements that we can do on a daily basis to do that as well. I used to be a yogi. Yoga was really fantastic for me. I struggled with yoga when I was in a trauma state, because it really scared me, just being in those poses. Like it gave me a really unsafe feeling, so I really had to heal my nervous system before I could actually appreciate yoga. So yeah, there's a lot of things to bear in mind when it comes to what practice suits you. In terms of actual nutrition, wow, nutrition's huge. And I've always got alkalizing greens in my kitchen, because again, when you're drinking coffee, and especially now there's so many rich foods that we've been eating over the season, then just by having some alkalizing greens every day can really help to bring the acidic levels down. And again, that can have a fantastic effect on the physiology as well. So yeah, there's a lot that can be done. So I would advise, it can get quite overwhelming when you start researching how to regulate your nervous system. But I'd say just kind of listen to your body. Just sit there in silence and just maybe feel if there's any tension or pain anywhere, or what thoughts are going through your mind, and just write them down, because it helps you to get out of your head when you actually write things down. So get out your head and onto paper. So yeah, I always do that with my to-do list, actually, because sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I've got so much to do, especially managing 2 kids. And so I just find just having things down on paper really helps to regulate that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting it out of your brain so you're not using that space for that.
Exactly. Yeah, but that's it. Yeah, because we just get into it's just our thought processes. It's the amygdala, isn't it? It's a fight or flight response. So what we want to do is try and get out of our amygdala and into our prefrontal cortex, which is our logical reasoning part of the brain. And that really helps to structure things, and it just helps with the overwhelm and any, crazy like mumble jumble that might be going on in your head. What we're lacking then is the prefrontal cortex actually being the dominant part of the brain. So by writing things down, it really helps that. So I really would advise that. That's how my book started, actually. It was because I started journaling. I started writing my thoughts down, and started writing down about past experiences that were triggering me. And yeah, and then I actually got a book out of it. So, hey, who knows where your writing may lead you?
Amazing. I love that. You also shared with me something that you have called the chemistry trap. And this is the tool that you have about relationship patterns. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so relationships just been such a huge part of my growth. We do, we learn a lot when we are in relationships, and we also learn a lot when we're not in relationships. And so I unfortunately kept falling into relationships, into bad relationships, because I was lacking so much self-worth that I felt like I needed a man to validate me, to make me feel like I was special. But unfortunately, because of how insecure and how low vibrational I was running off, I was attracting low vibrational men into my life, and a lot of them turned out to be abusers, and they had their own severe insecurity issues of like alcoholism and just narcissism. And yeah, there was just so many bad traits that they possess. And so because of that, I realized that like attracts like. Because I was so low vibration, I was attracting these people. So I just feel like, we really have to start to love ourselves before we can love others. And so the chemistry trap is that it's to understand, if you're not currently feeling happy in your relationship, or if you keep attracting emotionally unavailable partners, which is what they all tend to be when they're insecure. They're not emotionally available for you. So yeah. So how can you have a healthy relationship? So that's what the chemistry diagnostic tool does. It helps you to just assess that and just try to understand yourself a bit better. Yeah, so I would recommend, obviously, I'm sure you'll be sharing the link, but I would recommend just maybe, yeah, go on there, have a go and see what comes from it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll put those in the show notes. But I also, as you're saying that, if somebody's listening and already in a relationship, and whether or not it's feeling like good or bad or whatever, I also feel like, could this be a relationship with their kids and how they want to change how they're parenting or how they're showing up for the relationships with that?
Yeah, absolutely. It does, because like the work that I do with my coaching now, it is literally relationships. And those relationships can be with, mainly it's relationship with yourself. You need to understand how you are having a relationship with yourself, because it all starts with you. If you're not able to love yourself fully or to appreciate yourself fully, then how can you love or appreciate other people, including our children? And I know that a lot of moms, yeah, it is mainly moms that I see that, they'd always say, oh, my children come first, as in like, the children comes before them. But I just feel like you need to come first, because how can you give from a half full cup? You need to fill your cup first before you can actually show that love to your children. So yes, this is huge. And it does all fall under the chemistry trap. So definitely give it a go.
Yeah, that's great. I think, like you just said, I do think there's this pressure of like, we have to put kids first, and we don't do a good job as moms in a general society of making sure that we're functioning well first. And how much better a society could be if we could just put ourselves first in the sense of mental, physical health, emotional health, and then go from there.
100%. It is. And I feel you're right that there's just so much judgment. People judge us moms if we do put ourselves first, and, might get called selfish, or, she's so vain. But I'm sorry, you have to like cut out the noise and just focus on, on what it is that keeps you fulfilled, what keeps you happy. And this is why having self-care and me time is vital for any mom. I know it's hard as single moms in particular when they haven't got that level of support, but this is why I always say it does take a community to raise a child. And this is why, there's people in the tribes and in the villages and shamanic villages out there. It's not a solo job. They've got like tribes raising children because that's how it should be.
Yeah.
And you find like, the moms are the most happiest people on the planet. Like they're just so fulfilled because they got all this support. So I do think that even as single moms, we need to be out there and trying to make other mom friends, to try and create little communities of support, that people that can nurture us and be there for us, and so that we're not doing it on our own, because isolation is the number one thing, that causes depression. It's being isolated and feeling unsupported. So definitely try and work on a way to create that little community.
Yeah, that's so good. I think that's so important on so many different levels. What else do you want to share with listeners about your experience and your work?
Yeah, well, I just think that so many of us, we are on autopilot, and that's evident. I've seen it so much during the season as well. That people are they kind of get stuck into this season, thinking that they have to buy presents, and because it's what the season is about. And what I've really respected is those people who have actually said that they don't want to be involved in that, because they want to, for them, this season is about just feeling that joy and fulfillment without having to consume presents. And I love that, because what they're showing there is authenticity. They're showing that, they're not aligned to what's going on socially. And for me, alignment is key. And I just feel like for everyone on this planet, we have to be aligned with what we do, and not follow other people, and not follow societal pressures. But in order to actually feel aligned, you have to understand yourself better. And by understanding yourself will just open up so much about you. So much beautiful traits may even come out, when you start to understand yourself. But that a lot of that can't be done on your own. So I would recommend that if you do want to, if you know that there's more to life, and you do want to grow and feel more fulfillment, more passion, then try and get some support to enable you to do that. Like, don't feel like there's nothing out there for you, because there's so many people out there. And even like these podcasts are fantastic. So I feel like, they give you the knowledge for you to then be able to assess your own life, and to then, because that's it. It's the awareness, isn't it? And then from then you can then move on forward and do something about it if you choose to. So yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, there's so much power in just having that knowledge to begin with, that awareness of like, okay, like first of all, like there can be something different, and then also like here are some paths that we can go down to make some changes or feel more supported, or all of those things.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. And it's not something to be done alone either. We all need that accountability, like somebody to support us and to be by our side. And so, yeah, reach out for help, get a coach, get a therapist, find a healer, or even a friend, somebody who's non-biased and non-judgmental, somebody who can be there, who you can talk to about the changes that you want to make in your life, and how to get there. Pick up the phone, talk to people. God, so many people, they're just like texting now, but there's something different when you actually talk to people. So yeah, open your mouth, say something.
It's huge. I shared with you right before we got on that I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and we, in our house, my husband and I have cell phones, but we haven't had a house phone, and we bought a house phone for Christmas this year so that they can learn how to make phone calls, because we're like, they don't know how to like do this. I mean, they're still little, so we got plenty of time, but it's been so funny. They've been just loving calling family recently to be able to just say hi. And they don't really say enough, but my poor family, they've been answering the same questions over and over again.
That's so funny. Yeah. Oh, I love that you actually bought a house phone.
Yeah. I know. But yeah, just that conversation, and it can be so helpful, that community aspect of it. I feel like if someone's listening and they're in this state of like discouragement, or just being afraid of like feeling stuck, what do you have for them to kind of start that process?
Yeah, well, I just want everyone to understand that your body, it's not your enemy. It's not broken, and it's just doing its best to keep you safe. So if you haven't yet been on any kind of healing journey, then it's more likely that you might have some blockages within you, and we do call that the ego state because it's like the defense mechanism. It protects you from harm. But in order to release that ego state, I do recommend that you get some healing. Reiki really helped me, like Reiki healing, and emotional freedom therapy was a fantastic one as well, which is like the tapping technique. And but a lot of this, you would need to go and find like a local healer, somebody to help you to actually release those blockages. So I think that would be the first step.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome. Well, let's wrap up. Is there anything else you want to share? And then how can people connect with you?
Yeah, so please do follow me on. I'm mainly active on Instagram, and then obviously Facebook's linked to that. And if I do videos, I do love doing videos, then they go on to TikTok as well. And so you can find me, my name, which is Anu Verma, or Victim to Victor with a number 2. And yeah, so you should be able to find me on all social platforms. And if you would like to book a call with me to work with me, then there's also a Calendly link that you can book a 15-minute consultation call with me. Yeah, it'd be great to hear from you all.
Awesome. That's so good. I appreciate you being on and sharing your story and sharing about how people can work through this in different ways. So thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be on.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being here today on the Cyclical Doula podcast. If this episode resonated with you, the most powerful thing that you can do is to share it. Send it to a friend, text it to your sister, forward it to that group chat. This is how conversations about our bodies start changing. Quietly, organically, woman to woman. If you are listening and thinking, okay, I want help applying this to my cycle, I offer free cycle clarity calls. It's a relaxed conversation over Zoom where we talk through your goals, your charting practices, and what kind of support that would actually make sense for you. You can book one at emma.com/free. And if you haven't already, make sure you're following or subscribe to the Cyclical Doula podcast so that you don't miss future episodes. And if you feel called to leave a rating or a review, it genuinely helps more women find this work. So thank you. You deserve to understand your body. You deserve to feel confident in your reproductive choices, and you don't have to figure it out alone. I'll see you next week. Thanks for being here.
Welcome to the space where cycles breathe, where the real raw life of a mama leads. From motherhood's highs to charting the low, your body's stored.